What do you think makes the Lone Wolf PC game stand out?
Well, undoubtedly, it's the heritage it brings with it, for one thing. Like I said earlier, I've been involved in computer game production now for 10 years professionally, and very often in the role of a development director going into a production house and assessing their ability to produce games, doing due diligence checks and so on. What is unique about Lone Wolf are the unique selling points, and as a development director I would go into a company and look at the project and say, well, what is special about this product and what unique selling points does it have that raises its chances above all of the others that are going to be released. With Lone Wolf, it has an established fan base that goes back to the early 80s. There's the nostalgic aspect of the series. There's still a great devotion there as well. Like I said, there's an established fan base. There's probably 50 or 60 websites devoted to Lone Wolf. And most recently, probably in the wake of the success of the Lord of the Rings films, several publishers worldwide have reprinted Lone Wolf and found it to be very successful. So it's that right thing at the right time buzz again. And it provides a unique setting for bringing out the game. Also, the design aspects of the game are different, and the way we intend to market the game is different. So hopefully the combination of all those elements give us the unique selling points we need to make this game a particular success.
So what part do you feel that the government can help in developing the industry?
Well, here, Singapore, like I said, it's a unique situation at a unique time. My feeling is that, I can see the obvious facts. Singapore is a very advanced community with an excellent infrastructure, but it is very poor on land resource, simply because it is a small island state, city-state. It cannot really go into industries that require land development. It can't compete with the likes of, say, India or China on that basis. But where it can compete is its intellectual skills in developing its intellectual talent through its graduates, and that automatically leads into developing a software industry, intellectually based wealth creation. Singapore is, it has a world reputation for being business savvy, for being honest in its dealings. It has a very good reputation in that regard, and the links with other sort of high-tech industry centres is very strong. Great airline connections and telecommunication infrastructure, and it also has a very low cost of living and low cost base for developing companies compared to Europe or the US. So, I mean, I'm minded to try and encourage the Singapore government to realise this opportunity and get behind the creation and foundation of companies like Satria, because to me it seems very obvious that this is the way the country needs to go, and for a very modest investment it can reap a huge reward. We really shouldn't underestimate the value of the computer games industry in the world. It doesn't have the highest profile of industries in the world, say for instance in comparison to the film industry, which is high profile, high glamour, and in your face everywhere you look in every form of media, but we generate more money than they do. I think the figures for last year were something in the region of $13 billion gross for games production, whereas film came in at about 12 billion. Only a billion behind, but still behind.
What about private investors looking to invest in game development? What kind of return investment do you see there?
Now, because Singapore has a low cost base, I mean, the cost of living here is much less, rentals much less, business expenses are far less, the red tape is not as prevalent as it is certainly in the UK. It's not strangled by bureaucracy. The actual cost of producing here, including wage costs, which are far lower, result in final product costing less. So if it's going to cost less yet still generate the same sort of income that it would do in Europe and the US, you're going to hit profit and you're going to break even much quicker than you would if you took the same
if you set up somewhere else. The only thing it's lacking at the moment is homegrown talent, and that's understandable because there is no industry here, and the games industry is one where it's quite parochial, really. Developers typically will only hire people with experience. The only way to get experience is to get into the games industry. You can't get into the games industry if you haven't got experience, so you're in a very, you're in an ever decreasing circle there. But I am confident that the government and the educational system here would recognise how important it is to get those sort of qualifications, and would be minded at least to encourage the start of those sort of courses here in the universities and polytechnics and so on. That would help greatly. Until we reach that point, really, it's going to be a case of bringing in established talent from overseas. I'm probably an example of that myself. I haven't been in the industry for so long, and by so doing, those overseas talents, in effect, mentor the best of the homegrown talent, take them under their wing, put them through a sort of basic apprenticeship, and then by the sheer fact that they're in the industry and working in it every day, they're going to be picking up the necessary skills in order to complete their tasks. Albeit at a junior level, but we all have to start somewhere, and it's a great industry to be involved in. And I suspect there are very few people in this world that truly enjoy their job, and yet this industry has a higher proportion than most that truly enjoy their job. So it is a very rewarding profession to go in, and it's forever growing. It's certainly not getting smaller.
Thank you very much for answering the questions for us.